Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. It is getting chilly out here. It's fall. It's October 8th, and I'm Jason Artley, joined here with Michael Achabe to talk about some fun things with Bluebeam, and we'll see where else the conversation goes. But first, how's it going today, Michael?
It's going good. Excited. You and I are going to be jumping over to San Diego here shortly. Um, it's going to be an amazing event. It'll be Autodesk University. I'm sorry, losing my train of thought because I keep thinking about this whole Thanksgiving thing. But yeah, so going to be going to Autodesk University. Excited to be there. If you are listening in and going as well, feel free to find Jason and myself. Matt and I will be teaching a class. They actually opened up a secondary class. So if you want to register, please register for the first class, which is Tuesday, which is the repeat class. And our original main class is already full, so can't register for that. But we're excited. So if you do want to come and talk to us, feel free to. We'll be there wearing some kind of same color shirts. And our booth, what is our booth number? Do you know?
I believe it's 153.
Okay.
So booth number 153 in the expo hall. We will be there. So you sort of glossed over. There was a big thing that happened. So you and Matt are teaching a class, and it got so popular they got asked to teach it again. So you're teaching the same class twice at Autodesk University. What class are you teaching? Like, what's it about?
Yes. So Matt and I Matt brought it to my attention because he was looking in our speaker resource center, and it popped up as like 00. So we were like freaking out, like, wait, what? There's a second class. And then we got an email the next day that there was an overflow and they would like us to speak again. So they opened up a secondary class. And just for everyone that's aware, there was, I think, 3,200 submissions, 624, I think, were accepted around there. Like, I know the 6, I don't know if it was 24, maybe it was 32. I don't know. I think I was right around the 24, maybe less, they said, because some people may not be able to make it. And then those will be turned into live events or streamed events for their digital as well. So they did ask us to, because we filled our main room. Our room size is 165 for our main one. And they opened up a repeat class. So we were elated. They did ask us if we wanted to speak again, but it's kind of one of those things where they ask you and it's like, well, you got to, right? So we'll be teaching on Tuesday at 3, but thanks for the kind words. We're excited. And Matt's even in here today, and he'll also be at AU as well. He's been on this podcast more than once. I would say more than 10 times. So
good deal. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to sneak away from the booth, but we'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully you can. I think you should definitely join the first one on Tuesday. You asked, I totally glossed over it. What is the class about? So the class we submitted is about model coordination. So we go through and talk about how you can automate model coordination in Autodesk Construction Cloud in the module of model coordination. We talk about the differences between some of the instances in there. And then Matt keynotes the correct way to set up a model. I guess there's multiple ways. The most efficient way to set up a model in Revit and address issues from that perspective as well.
Ooh, David with a question. Do an encore for MCR. Potentially. That'd be fun. Be a little bit of a deviation, but not really. I mean, MCR could be model coordination review. There we go. That's why we do acronyms anymore, because we're just going to change them for whatever we want.
Yeah, we could ask Matt. Matt's even in here right now, but we probably don't want to jump the gun. We could definitely do a model coordination module conversation. I don't think we can use the official slides from AU, but we could definitely do a conversation more so in a demo live of that when we get back, and we can just pick a date that works for all of us. So,
yeah, I think that would be good. I know, here at ATG, we take calls from clients all the time, and it seems like model coordination is coming up more and more frequently. Even on the civil side, how do I make sure that what I'm building in the parking lot is going to match up to what they've designed in the building stub out. So it is getting more of a thing. It is becoming more of a not really accepted, but almost an expectation because of the value that it can provide, the errors that it can reduce, and all those things. So certainly it's on our list for things to dabble in a little bit more as we get deeper down the MCR rabbit hole of what we're here to do. But overall, we're trying to make sure that we're providing value for the things that you're working with every day. So I think it'd be great if you and Matt would do that again, and
we will do it on here. Well, hold on. I guess I should ask Matt.
He says yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I figured. Oh, he waved.
He waved.
So
he waved. That means yes.
That means yes. I mean, we were just talking about BIM last MCR, right? Building information modeling. I think that's just part again of the process, especially when if you're leveraging a tool like Autodesk Construction Cloud, which it's becoming more predominant as a storage and coordination solution because it's a unified platform, right? If you're already leveraging that solution, you might as well be leveraging the automated clash detection built into that platform versus exporting out into their other solution, which is Navisworks. I see more and more of that going away from most people doing an export because why have that fragmented data that's then siloed into a secondary solution if the whole mentality of the unified platform is to be a singular area with updated non-fragmented data and have it automate for you. I mean, the big thing right now is how do we save time? That's one of them where you can just automate clash detection and then automate emailing. You don't even need to email people, but you can even email in the platform and have a meeting designated in that platform to cover any large coordination issues. But I could create a coordination issue for Matt on his end, and we do that in the demo and the conversation. We did for his. I did a different one than I noted, but like a great example would be a shaft opening for an elevator, and the floor was going into the wall itself, right? I'm not going to be moving my wall, my framing. But the floor needs to have a better opening for it. And I just immediately created an issue and it updated in his model an issue so he can go and address it. So like that ability to coordinate without being on a phone call or have that conversation, and then it's all documented and transparent in one platform. Like we should be using that, in my opinion.
And Chris says he used to use, or he has to use Revizzo for this. Revizito. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Revizito.
I could say it without looking at the word. It's one of those words, if you look at the word, you can't say it right.
Yeah, it's Revizo.
Revisto?
Revisto. Yeah, Revisto.
Yeah. It comes up a lot because, that is the way that people have used it before, but ACC's coming pretty strong for it. But interesting stuff. So today, technically, we're going to be talking about somewhat a related thing, right? We're going to be talking about doing slip sheets and working with that because, how do you, talking about a unified platform, sometimes when you have a set of plans, something comes up and you got to swap sheets out. And what does that do to your numbering? What does that do to your set? What does that do for everything else? We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I was just checking. Yeah, thanks, Ben, for posting our link to our class. So that is the second class, I believe. Let me relook. Did it say repeat on that one? Oh, Thanksgiving stuff is still up on my browser. I was so surprised. I'm so confused too. Yeah, that's my repeat class. Yeah, thanks, Ben. That's our repeat class. Which I would have hoped was the main class. So we're teaching on a Thursday. It's so weird. A lot of their main course classes for our industry are on a Thursday. And last year at AU was all front loaded with more of instructor-led industry talk. Kind of weird, right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting. So you're teaching Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. and Tuesday usually the better day, your first day, like the first day,
Yeah.
because people,
It's gonna
I
be a
feel,
long
are,
day though.
I
Yeah.
know, but people are going to be more awake and more like into the conference, because when you start getting later in the conference, I feel it just, there's so much. I don't, for those of you that have never been to AU, it's overwhelming, especially if it's your first conference and there's a lot of information. So getting into like the last day, it's usually a little bit more of a drag.
Yeah, everybody's just waiting to go to the last party, even though they've been partying all week.
Yeah.
What day is your class on, Brian? So, Brian Haley, who's joining us today, we talked a little bit about it during his civil chat last week. If you were able to join us, he's teaching a class as well. Looks like Wednesday during the lunch hour. So there's going to be tons of learning, tons of networking, tons of good things, and there's still tickets available if you just want to do a last minute trip to San Diego. Um,
It's going to be
yeah,
gorgeous out there, right?
it's gonna be gorgeous. But we do have a couple coworkers who said we should probably bring like a pullover or a coat or something because 62 degrees is cold. Which, when you are by the water, the wind, it can get a little chilly. But
It won't be cold for you, but it will
won't be
be
cold for
cold
me.
for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I spent all weekend in like 45 degrees and windy, so I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be shorts weather for sure. Yeah, Brian's class is on Intro to Subassembly Composer for Civil 3D. It's a hands-on lab, so that'll be a really good use of a hands-on lab. It's a great topic, Brian. Because Subassembly Composer can be a challenge, but once you get it figured out, especially with your instructing capabilities, I'm sure you're gonna open up a lot of minds, which will be pretty cool. We'll see if I can sneak over there.
And hopefully maybe throughout the end of the year, we'll just have people on. You can't teach your exact same course because it's AU. They kind of own it. But if you would like to teach some things about it that aren't exactly the same, I think anyone that would like to hop on in that is going to the AU or teaching at AU, and people that maybe talk at AU, more than welcome to jump on this platform. Matt and I will talk about ours. Brian, if you want to jump in and talk about yours, I'd be more than happy to spread that. But most classes do live on their AU library. So they have you pre-record it. We did our pre-recording in September. Yeah, it was right before I went to Disneyland. So yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff. I'm excited to learn some things. Actually, most of the classes that I've actually signed up for, because I didn't know what our booth schedule was going to be. You know, if it was something I would have time to take classes. But there's a couple fusion things I want to go take. So we'll see. We'll see.
And
but I'm looking forward to it.
And what would you use Fusion for?
Stuff. Right now, I use Fusion on a personal level for 3D printing. Like
Oh, so that's what it's built as. What is Fusion equated to then? Like
it's manufacturing. So
okay.
If you're gonna make this boom, Fusion. You know.
Oh, okay. So you model in Fusion. It's a solid. What is it?
STL.
Yeah. Export out.
Yeah, that's what I use it for. I got some car parts I want to make. They're just sort of ridiculous to either buy or nobody makes them, so I'm just gonna 3D print them. There's this little vent thing in my car that it's like $400, and I'm like, I could print the piece I need for probably 45 cents. I just got to make the time to go
sign me up.
Measure it. So I think I'm gonna go do that, and that's what I've been using it for. There's a junkyard here in town, David, but they don't have my car. So I'd spend way more gas money than it would be for me to figure this out. So
yeah, I've been thinking about a lot of that for like aquarium stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd have to get a 3D printer and find space. As you can tell, my room's there's like no space. You know how small this room is. For all of you that don't know, that back wall is probably like 3 feet back from my back of my chair.
There's space, but you wouldn't want it running while you're working.
It's loud.
Yeah. It's not loud. It's just you can hear it.
Oh well, I'm noise sensitive. Like that's the main thing in here. Everything's, even though there's a bunch of fish stuff. Like I got the most quietest thing because I fixate. But all right,
the bubbles.
The bubbles, the aeration, the pumps, like everything I got is like super silent because I'm very noise sensitive. I hyper, I don't know, there's something wrong with me where I just fixate
Fixate
on
on it.
things.
Yep.
Yeah. But back to our topic. Yeah, slip sheeting. So this came up as a question because somebody asked me to have a call with him about slip sheeting, and I went through our very long library. And there's probably a video out there. We talked probably about document comparison, I would believe is where that was, but I couldn't find the video from our 168 videos. So I wanted to create an MCR video that can live on forever for folks so they can go through and learn like what slip sheeting is all about. For migrating markups over to from one PDF to the next, I don't feel like it's that very utilized of a tool, but I do know maybe we'll ask Bluebeam at some point because they know what tools are being used more frequently. So we'll see if that's going to be getting a lot of attention, but let's go through and talk about what that tool is and how you can essentially go through and utilize that tool from a either new revised document. And this is probably a case where you would leverage the tool because you have a ton of markups or a ton of revisions or a ton of sheets, and only a couple of them are being changed out, right? So versus having to grab PDFs, move them over, you will be able to do that seamlessly. And then maybe there was markups on that old PDF, and how do you transition them over? I did no, I did not update. I thought I did. I updated my Nexus software, so I didn't update this. Updates everywhere. I just forgot what I was updating. Okay. So let's talk about slip sheeting. Down over on your batch item, and I believe, Jason, you have to look up, I believe slip sheet is a complete license
I'm on it.
because it's in batch. I'm almost positive.
If it's a batch, it would be a complete thing.
Yeah. I said that right, complete.
Yeah. You were going to say extreme, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, because I'm still having calls with people that are on extreme, like the old licensed tier.
Yep. Batch slip sheet automation is in complete only.
Yeah. And the gap is getting wider for you all. If you're using and listening to this, review 20, and the gap difference between both solutions is becoming wider. Jason can share his screen a little bit later on the colorized background that you can now have. Mm-hmm. It was funny because when we were at the Bluebeam Live event, people were asking if they could change the line weight color. And that would have been cool if you had a black for mm-hmm. Halloween PDF and then orange line weights.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely share my screen because I got things to show.
Okay. So we'll make this not super quick. We'll make sure we cover it in depth, and then we'll let Jason show some things as we go through. So if you go to batch and then you have slip sheet right here, this is the tool that was in question. This would be great for large document sets that you need to replace documents with from another PDF set. When it goes through and runs the slip sheet, it's going to go by page name. So you probably want to name your pages correctly. And I guess let's first do that. How do we quickly go through and name pages? You can easily go through and name pages. We're going to go to this document because I know from a page label perspective, this just has 1, 2, 3, which is pretty standard if they weren't labeled at the beginning. But you can easily go through and name your pages by using the thumbnails panel. And you can go to create page labels at the top right. From here, you can select a page region of information. And I learned this from somebody that uses Procore. So Procore requires the number first, and then it doesn't require, but that's typically what you would do. And then an underscore, so that's the space between the next iteration, which is the name of the page. So you'll see that this is typically how I go through and name my pages, and I just automated that process here. So again, I went to create page label, page region. The first iteration is how much of data do I want to select? And you can see me going over the amount of data, because what if the number went to here or here? I don't want to just do this one. I want to be able to capture all of the data just in case. And then I'm going to do an underscore, and you can add an additional page of region that's going to go and search for. Essentially, what this solution is doing is when I hit add and I grab an area of information, it's going to the same spot on every single page, which your title block should be in the same spot on every single page. And it's grabbing that information from each and every single page. So again, I'm going to wide select this area. And then now I have this, and when I hit OK, it goes and does this for all pages because that's what I told it to do. So as I look down, I can see all of my page labels are now complete. So that's a way to name these pages. Be aware of different sheet sizes. Yeah, I mean, I would hope all the design sets are the same size page. You would hope. That may not happen to everybody, but why would they? Never mind, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah. Hopefully, they're all using the same title block, which traditionally happens in the design world. We traditionally use the architectural title block and add our information to it. That's typically the process. Okay, so we'll go back. Hit exit. Don't save. We'll go back to our batch slip sheet, but I know from like a non-design end, you can't control that. And sometimes they are incorrect sizes. So if they are the incorrect page size and you're grabbing the information, it's not really going to work. I think you can use, let me go back real quick. I don't want to, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole real quick. So you can do a custom range if you wanted. So maybe you select, let's say you knew the page sizes were not correct. You could select which ones you want to run this. That could be an option. Okay, that was my squirrel moment. So going back to batch, slip sheet, how do we use this tool? So this first one is the current files. The second one is your revised files. So be aware this does overwrite the original file source. So I'm going to go to my documents and show what I do for this process. So I'm going to go to my Bluebeam. I'm on a second screen here because I'm going to show you what this looks like from that perspective. Is it in here? Nope, it's in this one. So essentially what I'll do is I'll copy the original file. So I have these two. The reason I do this is that when you open this as the current file, it rewrites it as the new current updated file, which you may not want to do if you want to have an archive copy. So what I do is I copy these two over into my slip sheet example and paste it. So essentially, this will be resaved as a new PDF by slipping these sheets into this set. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you want an archive copy, make sure it's in a new designated folder, or maybe it's a copy that's named something different. I don't know. So I'm going to add that file. And then you have this revised files. This is the revision. I'm going to hit open. Perfect. You can even see when I made this example set, I didn't even do the same amount of pages because that happens sometimes. They just sent you the revised PDFs, right? Yeah, you're right, Michael. Cool.
Yeah, you're right. You got it.
So with that, down here at the bottom, it's going to say, how are these two PDF sets going to match? Is it file name, page index? So I do file name, or you could do page label. Yeah, we'll just do page index because I don't even remember if I actually did the page label changing like I did on the set I just showed you. But that's my advice. You should do that. There's an advanced way to go through and match these, which I'm not going to do. So once you hit match pages, and I didn't name them by page label, so I could have just done page label. So I actually did a good job. Good job. Self. Okay. Yeah, I did it. So match pages. So this is what it said already defaulted match, and we'll show you the unmatched because essentially there was an overage of sheets on my original set that didn't come in from my new set. Because again, as you saw before, I only had 5 pages when my total set is 6 pages. But from here, it's telling you what it matched itself. So general notes, all of these changed, right? Because it's not saying there are changes on these sheets that you're uploading from your revised set. You notated when you brought in the PDF set that was revised, those PDFs were changed. So that is what this tool is doing. It's not saying things changed on that PDF. You're saying to the solution, these are the new revised PDFs from that original set, and these need to be updated. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
It's not identifying the issues. You are identifying before, grabbing those PDFs and bringing them into the original set.
So I was looking at Chris's question. What about sheets that are a new added sheet?
Yep. So it would add that sheet. You would just have to know where you're going through and adding it to. From that, it would be unmatched. So it would be right here with this unmatched.
There you go.
But we'll go this first. So if this didn't match, you can remove it. You do have that option. And then over here, it's just unmatched. So you just have to make sure whatever page index it was, whatever that additional page is going to go to where it will add it to the set. So from here, you can remove either of these if they're not matched correctly. And then if they're unmatched, you actually click from here to here to the next one. If they weren't matching, even though they're the same. If they're the same name, they'll match. But let's say there was a 2 or something, I don't know. You just click each one that's supposed to match, and then I'll bring it over to here. So this is telling you which ones are going to be changed, and then you have some options below. So you do have the ability to copy markups from current pages to revised pages. So is it going to copy the markups that were made on one PDF to the other, which I do have markups on here intentionally on this original set? Are they going to move over to the next one? I highly recommend that you don't want to have 2 instances of a markup in your markups lists. So if you are going to copy markups over from one PDF to the next, you probably want to flatten the original ones so that they're not going to be accounted for in your markups list. That way, then when they're on the new set, they're just a markup. So that is this part here. Flatten the markups before. That way, when you move them over to the new set, you don't have 2 instances of the same markup, because you'll see that in the markups list, because you're going to have 2 PDFs in this instance of a slip sheet method. So copy markups from current pages. Yep. Unflatten markups before you copy, or flatten the markups after copy. So if you didn't flatten after, you could flatten them after they're copied. Okay, so we'll do that, flatten after copy. We're going to hit OK. So right here is a summary of where it's going to go. Create a detailed report. I'm just going to create a detailed report so I can click the PDF open. But again, remember, it automatically saves in the file location of where it was at over it. So output folder, if you wanted to output the summary. This isn't saying it's outputting where that new PDF is going. This truly overwrites the current PDF in the current location. So just remember that. I don't want to get an email saying, Michael, it overwrited our PDF. Now we have no archive copy. I'm sorry, I told you. This is just the report option of where it's going. It will oversave on that current file location. So as we remember, this current one, I can click it from here because the report opened after, and we're going to go through and look at that new PDF set. Oh, man, I missed a step.
It happens.
I know. I didn't explain this because I didn't give you the options, and I should have just defaulted to what I typically would have done. Replace. I got too carried away with the sub settings, and the main setting that we want to talk about is is this one right here. So do you want to replace the current pages with the revised pages, which is what I just defaulted to because I skipped this because I was too over explaining these, or insert revised pages before the current pages? Now, when you select the top one, it gives you this secondary option down here, which says stamp current pages with superseded. Some people like to have that superseded original PDF super stamped with the superseded notation, and then your next page is going to be the updated page. Or I think it's the vice versa. We'll remember because I haven't ran this one in a while. I just defaulted to replace current pages with the new revised page, which some people may want. They may not even want to see the original one in the full sets because it's going to be 200 pages now versus 150 because there's 50 new revised pages, but it's adding the 50 pages. So it's giving you now 200 versus this one would just replace those with the new ones. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But we're going to do the insert with revised pages because we can all kind of remember replace just moves that PDF out, puts the new PDF in, and you had the option to copy those markups over. We are going to insert revised page before current pages. So the new one, and then it will say next one, the old one with superseded. I'm going to hit OK. Go back. So again, remember, it's saved in its current location. So if I go back and look in that sample example folder, I have this and it's updated to today's date. So this is a revision. Back in 2020, I created this set, but it oversaved on this one. So we'll go and look. The first original general notes, we won't sync pages. Okay, it's not. So this is the original one. This one will be just moving over to show you what that secondary one is. I need to click here. So the original general notes is here, marked with that superseded, but the new one had slip sheet on it. Okay, so we'll go to our second page, go over here, and you can see me going down to my second page here. 1, 2. So now we have our foundation plan. So you had general notes, moving on to the foundation plan. This was the original one, S.10, S1.0. You now have some changes with superseded, and we'll move on down. I think I have a revision markup on this one. So on this one here, you can see the original one here, S4.1, had a markup here. Wasn't flattened, so now I'm going to have 2 instances of it, but I flattened it when I brought it over, so I'm only going to have 1 instance. The original markup is going to be from the original PDF. Now, if you wanted the new updated one to not be flattened and changeable, you would just make sure this one wasn't flattened when it was moved over, but you flattened it before it was over. But you can see the markup was brought over in the same exact spot, on the new set.
Chris wants to know, where is the new sheet?
Yeah, the new sheet's before the old sheet. So if we look over here, original, new, new, original, new, original, new, original. So it's slipping the new sheet in first, marking superseded on the old sheet. If you did insert before current page, and that's your only option is before current page, your next sheet will be a superseded marked. Or you can replace the complete sheet. You pick. Those are your 2 options. Currently, they haven't updated it, obviously, since 2020.
Right. And Doug thinks, and I agree with Doug, the one on the old page should be flattened, not the new revised page, because things change, right? If it's superseded, and that's the one that should be.
Correct. And that was my warning to you all. Flatten before, open the PDF, flatten markups, and there's an option to unflatten a markup and copy it over.
True. Interesting.
Any other questions?
Doug's going to try that next time.
Okay.
So yeah, this batch slip sheet is a complete only function. But it's if this is something that you deal with, again, the price difference, it's worth it just to use it once.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, like $100, which divide that by 12, it's what, $7-8 additional a month that you would have paid for your time.
Yeah.
So if you're saving, just divide your amount of time a day, right? You just need to make sure you're saving X amount of minutes per month.
Yep. Batch hyperlink, dynamic fill. I mean, there's so many different tools that it's like, yeah, just that's worth the time. Yeah. I actually had a guy cut me off. We were doing a demo, and of course, the CEO or the decision maker was on the call, and he's like, "All right, you need to explain to me why the price difference." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And the main user was on the call, and I'm like, "Okay, these are the things that are different." Going over the website, which I'll pull up here in a second. And these are what's different. And once I did dynamic fill, he's like, "You're done. Just stop right here. Just pay the man." I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm not selling anything. You got to talk to the sales guy. But if that's, you're going to make up that cost and the afternoon that you're going to use it, then it's worth it all. But Matt had a question. Is slip sheet available in a studio session? And the answer would be no. Remember, in a session, you cannot change, add, delete sheets because it's assuming that multiple people are going to be collaborating, and it might not be at the same time. So if I go review it, spend all this time reviewing it, mark myself as finished, and then Michael comes in, slip sheets a bunch of files, that is no longer the same PDF that we're doing it, right? So we would need to go through and create a whole new file, and then we would be able to upload that to a session and review a new file.
Yeah. A lot of people want document management in sessions, and I think there is a good claim to it. Bluebeam would just need to designate different types of sessions. Mm-hmm. Document review sessions versus like being able to have non-updated sets. Like, I get it because people are coordinating internal and they don't need to, they're not like, we're bound by things being updated as much as like me coordinating with a sub-discipline or consultants, where it's like, I don't want you to update a set in the middle of me reviewing it. But maybe internally you would, right? So I think there just needs to be, because people have been always asking about document management within sessions and continuously ask about it. I think there's a draw, and Bluebeam would just need to create a segmented option. You know what I mean?
Looks like we found our topic for the 22nd.
What?
Document management in sessions.
Yeah.
Best practices. Okay. You keep talking. I'm going to put that in our chat before we forget.
Yeah. And look, we're always open for topics. Jason, by the way, I just want to give kudos to Jason because he's taken care of pretty much all of our topics for the last, I would almost say, year. So if you want to help Jason and myself out, please let us know some topics that you're looking for. My topics typically just come from what people are asking. Jason has a very creative mind, and he's come up with a lot of ours at the cusp of it. But we will be infilling with a lot of things that aren't specific to Bluebeam, like our AU classes. So,
yeah, and like we sort of talked about earlier, there will be some deviation. Not all these episodes are going to be Bluebeam related. There might be episodes coming up where we don't touch Bluebeam at all. Yep. It's just a matter of, what would you all see value in, and what, what other affiliated softwares, can we highlight, show off? Because at the end of the day, most of the stuff's going to end up in a PDF anyway, right? So how do we get back to review? And how do we collaborate outside of Revu with PDF?
Yep.
So we'll be going through some of that stuff as well.
So
Cool.
yeah, slip sheeting is a great tool. I'll go through and run the other one just to kind of show you because I just glossed over that really quick. When I made the mistake of not showing you that part. So, and I think there was a question. No, we're not going to do it in this one. So let me do it in this copy. There was a question about a new sheet, right?
Yes.
So let me go through and add a couple of sheets to this one. Um, okay. Perfect. So we'll save this in its location, and we just did that. We'll do now slip sheeting with the replace. Well, I guess we'll see them the way that they're going to do that. So we'll go to slip sheet. We'll add files. There we are. Ooh, it defaulted to, well, I guess I already had one. I probably should have done 3. Do that.
Back a step. That's what Chris said.
What? So I just went through and made sure that the number wasn't, I already had a framing sheet. So, ooh, it's defaulting it to it being, it's going by page index. So page 6 to page that one. So basically I would just remove this one. Because this one isn't going to be the one that actually is. But is it going to? I'm just going to run this real quick. So it didn't bring that one in.
Your scales got all funky too.
I think those are predetermined scales out of Revit.
10.9 point or 10.90909 inches equals 1 foot. Yeah. That'll be fun to measure.
So it didn't. Let's rerun it where I remove the other one just to make sure. Oh, but it already ran it. So let me do this. Let me do one last thing. Open. I'm wondering if it's indexing it. It's giving a
silence.
Well, it's giving it a it's for some reason it's defaulting the metadata of the page number. Like I can't change it besides having a prefix that's different value because it's already defaulting it as page 6 because there's 6 pages in here. So like it's not allowing me to overlay how that one comes in to this feature. So let's try and see if I just remove the original one, but then it doesn't bring that original one in, which is ridiculous. Because it's matching these two, but this should be unmatched.
Right, because
But if I hit remove, it doesn't bring it in. But it's saying these two are matched.
Just because it's going off of page label, but not the number.
Yeah, it's this page index. So if I go back and just do page label, match pages, what happens? 2 unmatched pages. Okay.
There you go.
Cool. There we go. So what we'll do with those, we'll find out. We're going to do the original one, but the replace just replaces it. So just remember that. I mean, it's pretty simple. So hit OK. What does it do with those 2 unmatched pages? Unmatched. So this is
extract them. Update. Okay.
Yeah, because we want to extract it, right? Yeah. No, it's going to bring it as its own. So it should have just... It didn't add it. What was the other option if I didn't want to? Figuring this out. Let me know when you need to jump in to show your stuff.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Scripting. Whoa, that's a whole... Let's not go down that rabbit hole today.
Please no. But I'd be more than happy to. So let's do page label. Hit match pages. Okay, those are those 2 unmatched. Hit OK. And what did it say before? Unmatched pages revised. Don't want to extract, so I don't select it and I just say skip. Extract pages, use page labels and names as a separate file. Don't want to do that. Open files after extraction. Don't want to extract. So if I hit skip, is it going to add it? I don't think so.
I think this is meant
Nope.
for single files instead of individuals.
But if you're adding a page, it won't let you add a new page to it. It'd have to be the same page being updated, is what this is meant for.
Right.
It wouldn't let me add that new page.
If you're going to add a new page, you just add a new page to the set. Slipsheet is replacing an existing one with something that's been updated.
Yep. I would like for it to do both, but apparently you can't. So you would come in here and just add your page, insert page. So
correct.
But that would, you could still do it from the like overall set. So if I insert a page, so that would be a question like, well, it's part of the full set. Why can't I just add it? No, you're right. So let me delete this one. You can just go into here. You know what page it is, hopefully, right? You can just modify that. It's just going to be custom range and you can just say page 1. So, or page 6 of 6. So whatever page you want. Okay. Cool. I'm done. You're up.
All right. I'm up. Okay. So 2 things. First one, Brian had posted that Foxit, which don't think I've ever used, has a capability to put in a tiled stamp. So they've got this watermark draft, which goes over the whole sheet, which is actually kind of nice. And Dave put in there like a watermark. Notice how it cuts off the page, because this is going to come in a second. Right? So can Bluebeam do this? Well,
do what?
Yes, it can.
The watermark?
It can put in a tiled stamp. There's a couple ways to do this. And when I was experimenting, what I did was I started with a stamp, right? I just put in the watermark stamp. So any stamp that we have up here, you can use. And then what I did was I had rotated it, and then I used the multiply command to copy it across. When you do that, it won't let you have text that's overhanging. It has to fit on the sheet. So if I wanted to do that, so what I did was I put that, I think I started here. I started with that first one. I did the multiply command to put my watermark, again, draft, preliminary, not for construction, whatever you want. Lower the opacity so it becomes a watermark. And then what I did was I grouped them. And then when I group them, that makes it so I can place them anywhere else. So I took that group, again, saved my tools to somewhere else. So if I wanted to do this again, I can grab my tool and insert my watermark, and it would do that. It's not going to cut off. It's going to be funky. The Probably the better way to do this would be to create a stamp, right? When I go to create a stamp, if I go create new, I can make that match my paper size. So I would make one for 42 by 30. I would make one for 36 by 24. I would make one for all my paper sizes, draw that out, and then I would just have that stamp that would cover the whole sheet. That would make it easier for me to go in, right click, apply to pages, or again, use a batch tool and apply that stamp to rip through my whole plan set and do that. So can it do what Foxit can do? Yes. Can it do it without a little bit of setup? No. But interesting question. And I thank you, Brian, for putting that in the MCR chat on LinkedIn. If anything comes up during the week where you're stuck or you're wanting to know, like, hey, can this do that? Use that MCR chat. Give us a little bit of time to play with the scenario, and then we're happy to show that the next week. So that was one thing that I wanted to show while I was on here. The second thing is what came new with the new version of Revu. So 21.3 came out last week or the week before, which gives us dark mode. And dark mode is accessible here on the lower right-hand corner, or Control 3. And you can toggle that on and off, and it inverts the colors. So I have mine set to blueprint mode because I thought that was kind of cool to change to that blue color. So what you can do is go up to Review, Preferences, and here under Advanced, of course, you can always type in the search box for dark mode, and it will give you that toggle for dark mode. But then here is where you have that option to change the color. Change it to any color you want. It will revert things accordingly, and if I hit reset, that will turn it to a black background. But I thought the blueprint was fun, and I'm not tired of it yet, so I'm going to leave it there. So it actually looks pretty cool. There are some neat benefits to this. For one, it is easier on the eyes, and that's how they're touting it as a benefit, and I agree. I've got sensitive eyes, and if I don't have to look at white screens all the time, the better off my life will be. So I love this new feature. I think it's pretty handy. There is another new thing coming while I'm talking about it, because I got the email, and this will tie into our October 22nd episode where we're going to talk about document management in Studio and Cloud. When they announced this 21.3, they said that eventually Studio projects would be in Bluebeam Cloud coming in October. Well, that date has been announced, and it will be next Monday. So October 14th.
Reddit AU.
Yep. Interesting.
Not sus at all.
Maybe I'm going to pack my tinfoil hat, I think, when I go to pack for San Diego for sure. So Studio projects will be part of Cloud. You'll see that next week when you log in, or we will cover that on October 22nd. So pretty cool stuff. A couple of things to note about this dark mode. As much as this is bugging me. It's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal at all, but like they have that gradient hatch in there, and dark mode doesn't know how to invert that entirely, right? So if it's never going to print this way. It's just for visual. I know. But there are some things that aren't accurately displayed. We can call it that. I think that's fair, right? But again, my eyes are so happy, I don't really care. So again, use that toggle, play with it, find a background color that works for you, and go from there. Another thing I wanted to show was, since it's October, it gives me an opportunity. See, I should have warned you that I was going back to the bright stuff. That we can start decorating. And let me go back to these other sections.
Wait, so how did you quickly turn that on and off? Is there? Oh, it's the button down there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, we'll use this one. So since it's October, years ago, Bluebeam sent out a fun tool set called Spooktacular Symbols. So I can put a little Bluebeam pumpkin and stick that here on my entryway for my house. And that's what I can do. And then I can put a witch flying over. There's a very specific reason. I'm going to make this work related here in just a minute. I well, I somewhat promise, right? This is going to be far too much fun for me to have cats going down escalators, but um, we can also, decorate things. If maybe I'll find a way to attach this if anybody wants this thing that Bluebeam sent out. But one
I
thing that
think
I
you need
thought
to
was,
attend the Halloween MCR in order to get it.
oh,
But okay, continue.
yeah, the 29th, maybe we'll revisit this. But this dark mode, watch what happens to these stamps. They all invert as well.
No
So
way.
it's doing some pretty cool stuff with the content, not just the background. The black lines turn to white, but even the stamps are inverting too. So um, I think that's kind of interesting how they did that. Um, with whatever's going on in the background to find certain colors and replace them. Um, so yeah, good stuff. Um, so I showed the stamps. I showed the dark mode. One thing I wanted to cover again was the pricing. So again, I hate talking about pricing. I hate talking about sales. I hate talking about all that stuff. But this is important because, as Michael mentioned when we started, the gap between review 20 that some of y'all are still clinging to and review 21, that gap is getting bigger. And as they switched from standard, CAD, and extreme, now there's basic, core, and complete. These prices are going up 10% per year, as sort of we knew was going to happen. But today, that batch slip sheet automation that Michael talked about is only incomplete, right? And if you go to the bluebeam.com/pricing page, you can see exactly what's different because there are some things in here that have changed since the first time we showed this page, right? So you can see the everything in Core Plus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things. There's actually more than that. Maybe.
Yeah, I did a video on this too, detailing it.
So there are some things in here that are worth revisiting if, especially if you've got a renewal coming up, if you're still wanting to go to 21, if you're still, looking to, balance your license counts, take some time to go through this. Michael has that video, again, that can be helpful to you if you're stuck. Or if you, want to have a different conversation about, hey, what does this actually mean? Let us know. We're happy to help you because, even though it's $100 difference, that still adds up, $110 difference, right? So we want to make sure that you're all getting the best bang for your buck. These are Bluebeam's prices, not ours. But,
Wait,
there
Jason,
are some.
you don't work for Bluebeam?
No, even though I wore my shirt today. I know you wore it last week, so I was like, I know
did.
it's safe for me to wear it this week. But it just fits so well. I love this shirt. Anyway.
I do love the shirt. Yep, here's the video.
Okay, cool. So you can put that up there. We'll wrap this thing up. And yeah, $9 a month. It's not that big of a deal, but you'd be surprised how many firms are looking at that $100 thing. $100, like, yeah, but that's $9 a month. Like, you figure the average billing rate for, an engineer or something is over $100 an hour. Like, that's a coffee break.
Itself. Yep.
It's a coffee break. So on that note, that brings us to the end of our episode for today. Chris, if you're having issues with slip sheets, maybe you can create a support case and dive into that a little bit more. Remember, no episode next week because we will be in San Diego at Autodesk University. Come say hi to me, Michael, Matt Lynn, Kyle Lee, Brian Haley. There's going to be a bunch of fun folks there. We'll go throw around some high fives, and we will see you all on the 22nd.
See you all then.
All right.
Have a good week.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.